so we've got all the trunking on, okay, so we've fixed it, used some penny washers on there just to hold that back. And I've also drilled 2 holes either side and raw plugged them up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some banding strap around just to hold them all nice and neat. So this is what I was saying earlier on about having like a bit of a T section. So my plan is I'm going to have my main consumer unit here and then my off-peak one underneath, but my off-peak one, they've not got that in, they haven't delivered that anyway, so it's on order now. So using the laser level as always, but there's a little handy trick for you if you don't know it already. Use your normal saw, bit of a washer jobby on there, and then use the magnet to slide it to wherever you need to do. So it's really important to keep everything nice and level and square, because it will massively show up. Don't worry about anything else, but as long as your stuff's all level and square, that's all that matters. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put you on time lapse. I'm going to start dressing these in, but these 2 here are actually which actually go all the way over there. Sorry about the light. But they're that bunch of cables hanging up on that bit. So I'm going to leave those basically out of the way for now, get all the cables down, and then what I'll do is in the bottom of this trunking down here, I'll coil them up and not put them into the board and just relabel them. So when that phase of the build goes on and the kitchen plan's in place, we can then drop them in at a later date, but there's no risk for them, you know, being energised or anything else like that. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and get you set up in a position where you can actually see what I'm doing, and we'll see what footage we get. Right, so me and Jack have actually been out on a call out since the last clip. So it was just a bad connection, so we've been sorted it anyway, by the way. Right, so we've got the trunking lid on, we've put all round band on it. So what I've done now is so these are my supplies that are going to the next phase for the kitchen. These are all my off-peak heaters, and then this side is all for my consumer unit, which is obviously for normal, my normal board. As always, fitting my fuse box board. Like I say, I get my boards generally from Consumer Unit World, so go and check them out. But yeah, so what the plan is that's going to be mounted on like there, and then we're going to mount the other one, which is going to be this side for the Economy 7 stuff. But what I'm going to use is I'm going to use some standoffs. So let me show you what they are. Right, so I'm going to use some basically standoffs, plastic spacers, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be behind the board. That's then going to give me a void behind. So on the trunking, we're going to cut out with the oscillator basically a slot that I can then feed the cables in and behind. And on this one, I normally bring all the cables in through the knockouts through here. But I think I'm going to do it slightly different. I think I'm going to be drilling some holes in. I say I think I'm going to. I've never actually done it this way, to be honest, before. But I don't know whether it's going to be a mistake or not. But I was thinking about bringing all the cables through, drilling my holes out here, and doing that. But I don't know whether I want to or not. I haven't made up my mind. So you'll see on the next clip whether I've decided to do that or not. Stay tuned. Right, quick update. As you can see, I've brought the cables through the back, so I've drilled them all out. See, this one here, this hole here, is for my cooker and hob and kitchen stuff. Okay, so that's come through there, and also the one that's actually there's actually enough room to get some more cables through. Jury's still out whether I prefer it this way or not. At the minute I'm preferring the other way I normally do it, where I knock out the bigger hole, because it's just faster, to be perfectly honest, and there's no other way of dressing it up, but it's just faster. So what I thought I'd do is just show you how I go about fitting the RCBOs, but it's quite difficult doing it one-handed, so I'm going to have to try and figure out a place to put you. Yes, I am getting old, and I am sitting on a box, making life really comfortable, to be fair. So right, I'm going to get you mounted up somewhere, and then I'm going to show you how I do this. Right, it's all very technical stuff. You're mounted up on a spirit level, so no expense spared. So on here, so what I do is just get rid of that for a start. So straighten that out, straighten your flying lead out. Tuck your RCBO over one end, okay, to give you more space, and then feed it down the back of all these, leaving enough slack on it to tuck it up, so it literally will swoop that way out of there. Now you're all going to moan because yes, screw gun, but I'm not actually tightening them up at all. It's all got to be torqued up anyway, so they're literally just nipped up so they're in place. Okay, so you keyboard warriors can keep that to yourself. So that's tucked down behind the DIN rail now, so just slide that along, and there you have it. It's tucked in nice and neat all the way across, and yeah, it's just, I find it's the easiest way of doing that. Just start at one end and then just slide them in, because as you're pushing the RCBOs in, they sort of like swoop behind the DIN rail anyway. So I find that actually the best way. So I've just got these last few to put in. I've got two more to put in, and then that's leaving that in a position where all the spares are in for the next phase. Because actually, if I don't put them in now, I wasn't going to, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't going to, but if I don't, it actually becomes more of a pain in the backside for me refitting them after the event. So I thought, well, why not make my life a bit easier? And you might be saying, well, why are you doing that? Because you know you can keep the money for yourself if you've not spent that money out. But really, it's me that's coming back anyway to do the next phase. We're actually doing the building work anyway, so it kind of makes, and it's all paid for anyway, so what's it matter? So that's that one. Now what I'd like to know from you wonderful lot is, what's your view on the cable length from here? Do you try and tuck more down, or do you just cut and go? You know, so I'd like to know your views, because for me on this one, I'm literally just going to fold them over and terminate them all in, rather than trying to force any more down for any more slack. Because if this needs to be changed in, you know, 10, 20 years or whatever whatever time that is, then my view here is that you've got options, haven't you? You can lift the board up. I'm not above the window. There's a window here. You can lift the whole lot up, and you've got a whole mass of slack, whatever you want. So for me, it seems a bit stupid to be leaving excess cable there. If it was the other way round, I'll try and leave that cable so there's a bit as long as I possibly can. But in this instance, that's what I'm doing. So it'd just be interesting to know what you guys think on there. Because I just trying to do it. I mean, like you say, you always try and think of the next guy and that's fine, but the next guy might be 20 years down the line, and I'm probably not going to be doing this still. I'll probably be dead. And just also like to point out that the meter tails aren't connected to anything, so there's no voltage in this at all. There's nothing there. They're literally on the floor here. Just in case. Oh Jesus, what's going on? So yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. So for me, it's just a case of dressing those in now. I've got some din rail blanks, which I prefer because they're in, done and dusted. And that's that. I'll just buzz bar and all the rest of it. So yeah, so that's how I've done it on this one. Like I said, I never normally do it this way. I always do it slightly different. But I think looking at it for the finished product, I can see where it's going to be. It's probably neater, in fairness, than smashing that big hole out there. So yeah, so what I'll do, I'll get these all terminated and then I'll show you at the end, and then we'll catch up with Jack and find out how he's been getting on. You guessed it, I cut him short. So I actually think that's probably really, really neat doing it that way. And they've all got to come back out, so it's all got to be tested. I say all got to come out, but you know what I mean, they've got to be tested. Actually, yes, it is a bit more of a pain in the arse, but that's probably because I don't normally do it that way. So once I get more used to it, it's actually, I think it's just a neater finish, in fairness. So yeah, so happy with that. So what I've done there is I've just gone, literally looped it over, made these a little bit higher than what I normally would, because it just, my own conscience started playing into it. But yeah, so I'm happy with that. And like I say, there's another circuit for the lounge that's going to come into this one anyway, and then these ones are all the spares for the kitchen. So yeah, the next consumer unit's literally going on here, so that's why I've just put the trunking lid on now. But that's going to literally just sit right next to this one. So my off-peak one, I'm going to run the tails in and clip them all in together down here, and back into the old Henley blocks, and then we can take our temporary supply off. But let's go and find out what Jack's been up to and see how he's progressed with the day. Just coming upstairs now. Going to find Jack wherever he is. Where are you? In here. Oh look, onto another pendant. Look. Living the dream. How's it been going, Jack?
Oh, I've got all the sockets done now. I've just got to do this pendant, the pendant in there, and then the off-peaks.
Oh, very good. So Jack's been cracking on, as you can see. So he's got, so what we've done for here, because there's going to be a heater and stuff, for example, like there's going to be a heater on this top of the landing, I think. So we've got our off-peak 20 amp switch, and then because of the type of heaters they are, they've got an on-peak, a normal, like a boost as well. So that's why we've put those in like that, so then they can plug in and they're off. Yeah, so that's what they're for. So yeah, so got on quite well, to be honest, considering we've had a call out as well to go on and sort out. So I'm going to leave the video there because it's probably about 3 days long as it is. And like I say, I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have and you've not fell asleep getting to the end, I applaud you, well done. But if you are one of those people and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. Links below, just click on that, and I shall see you on the next one. Thank you very much, guys, from me and Jack. See you later.